Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, it's the Ramble. Yes, Alex Bennett, that's me, Alex, in the big red lettering. And we'll be here until midnight tonight here on the East Coast of the United States of America. And we'll be serving up some of the finest podcasting you can hear anywhere. Not true. Probably one of the most insignificant attempts at podcasting going, okay? We've been doing this for what? We're in our 6th year of doing this. What a futile expression of faith it is, okay? Anyway, how are you? What's new with you? We're getting down there. This is 5 days till Election Day, although Election Day has really started. You know, I think from here on in, we're going to think of it as a voting season because a lot of states have gone for early voting, and most of them actually. And so a lot of the vote is before Election Day. Probably more people will have voted than voted in the last election. That's a good possibility. Right now, I think in Florida, they're about to hit almost 100% of all the votes cast in the last presidential election, just by early voting and by mail-in. That does not include the people who are old-fashioned and are going to go down on November 3rd to their polling place to vote, okay? And so, but what I want to say to all of you is that the main message, I guess, being expressed everywhere, and it is worth expressing over and over and over again. If you can do it, go down to your local polling place and do the early voting. It's very simple. It's just like any other voting, except maybe, I don't know, you might have to wait in a longer line, or you don't know. I mean, you don't know that Election Day there's going to be a big line at your polling place, especially in those states where they're trying to suppress the vote. And I think it's very important that we get out the vote and we get it out big. They expect this may be the largest amount of people voting in a presidential election in 100 years, okay? And I can't imagine that it wouldn't be more than that because, after all, there were less people back then. But in any event, it's going to be a lot of votes, and people are going to be voting very simply for one reason. They want to make sure their candidate wins, and they want to make sure more than anything else that their vote counts. The vote doesn't really count all that much if somehow it gets suppressed or thrown in a garbage can somewhere or whatever. You want to know that vote has been cast. So go down to your polling place and do it. Or in states like New Jersey where you mail it in, but then you can go online and see that they got it and that they registered your vote. That's another way of doing it. What we did the other day, my young lass and I, Marjorie, she's younger than I am, about 4 years, I think. We went down to the polling place. We voted. It's plain and simple. We voted. And I recorded the whole thing using my iPhone. And as usual, I will bore you with another home movie of what it was like so that you can get an idea of what it might be like for you. It's a lot of fun, actually. Marjorie?
Can you walk that way?
This is a pretty long line. It goes all the way up there.
Let's see how far it goes. It moves fast. Does it? Thank you. She said it's moving fast.
It's moving fast, yeah, but look where it starts.
Well,
by the way, we should mention that the school itself, or where the vote is taking place, is on about the other side of here.
on 115th Street.
On 115th Street. So this is literally going around.
Here, it's right here.
Do you want to try?
Yes, they said it's moving fast.
People have brought chairs. Wait a minute. Here. Oh. Gotta wait for people to launch.
What time is it right now?
What time is it?
It is.
I don't know.
Here, I'll look. What time?
12:15.
12:15.
12:15.
So here we are, early voting, New York City, but it's moving. I mean, when you saw the pictures, like in some of the other states, they were standing for hours.
What do you need to do to prove you're a voter?
Well, you got that card that we got in the
card.
mail. We got the card,
Yeah.
and you have your driver's license with your picture.
We don't have to bring our ballot with us.
No, because we're not doing absentee,
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to wait in this line.
which seems like it's moving. So.
It seems like it's
And then what we're going to do after that is we're going to treat ourselves to brunch.
Oh, really? I knew you were going to say something like that.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, you're going to eat outside in this cold?
No, they're putting heaters up. Oh, we went to cafeteria yesterday on Friday, Natalia and I,
Yeah.
and they have heaters up.
Really?
All the restaurants are putting heaters up. It's going to be like Paris.
Yeah. Oops. Keep our social distance.
Yep.
The line is twice as long as it would be because of the social distancing.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And everybody's wearing a mask. You
Yeah.
can't get inside without a mask, and you
Yeah.
probably can't even sit in the line without a mask.
Well, they wouldn't want you to.
Exactly.
Now, you see, this is where we're going to vote on the other side of the street. Okay?
On 115th
yeah, but it
Street.
says, please enter through 115th
We're
Street
on
for voting.
114th Street.
Yeah. We're still in line.
Yes, we are.
For somebody who's very impatient, you're doing remarkably well.
This is the new look.
Huh?
This is the winter look.
Yeah. Well,
opposed to the spring and summer.
the mask wearing season is great for dating when it comes to ugly people. But it's nice to see we're in a group that's wearing masks.
Everybody's wearing
You
masks.
walk down 116th Street and nobody's wearing masks.
Well, that's not true. It's younger people aren't wearing the mask, but older people are wearing them.
Because we don't want to die. So there's a woman down there passing out water
Yeah,
from the voting people.
absolutely.
They're doing it. Well, and we're getting closer to,
We're right near Adam Clayton Powell.
right near Adam Clayton Powell.
And where we have to go is the other side of this
Yeah, let's
building.
go to the other side of this building. And we found out that we could do the
Absentee ballot.
absentee ballots. We could have just brought them and dropped them here.
But for some reason, I want to do it in person.
Why? Just to say you did it?
Well, just that I know that
I mean, either way, no. That way, you
It
dropped
counts.
you dropped it off at a polling place.
Yeah.
It's going to be counted. So, anyway, voting in the new normal.
Voting in the new normal.
Usually, you just go up to the voting place and walk in.
Yeah.
This is going to probably have the largest amount of people voting.
Oh, it is already. It's passing.
Well, no, it's about halfway
No,
towards the
in
most.
the United States, early voting has like doubled what was 4 years ago.
Yeah, but we're at about half of the normal vote, so it's going to really be quite a vote.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because this early voting, she has an absentee ballot.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
All you have to do is
say.
walk over, and there's just a
just
drop-off
couple, huh?
box. Yeah.
But that feels weird.
It does feel weird, and I for some reason we got the absentees at
I
home.
know. So I was talking to my parents, and they said it gets counted, but it gets counted differently. Whereas if I just wait in line and do it, it's then and there and done. So
And you've done it.
I'm gonna give it an hour, and if I can't,
I think it's moving great.
Well, it's
but
moving
yes, I
okay.
do have it, and
Yeah.
I brought it.
We have it, but left at home.
Hey, what time is it now?
It's 12,
10 minutes to get over here.
so it's
Yeah.
10 minutes we've been in line.
15 minutes.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Some guy brought a chair with him, but I don't think he's going to need it. What are they passing?
Thank you, but this is great.
No, but thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Courtesy of Nova Vegetables. That was so nice.
So it was like some
Thanks for voting.
Yeah, it's like,
no, but it was like some restaurant who was doing publicity for himself by giving out free sandwiches.
that's great.
Next thing you know, they're going to have jugglers out here.
Okay, we've reached Adam
We have
Clayton
turned
now.
the corner.
We have turned one corner. We have one more corner to turn. We're almost at 115th Street.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're passing out water.
And
you
sandwiches.
Know? And some place that has a restaurant is passing out free sandwiches.
That's so nice.
I mean, they've turned it into an event.
New Yorkers come together.
Yeah. New Yorkers are great,
Yeah.
you know. Turning the corner?
We are turning the corner.
Oh boy. And we're almost there.
Halfway down the block is the school.
Yeah. This hasn't been that bad.
Here, let me give you this.
No, don't give me anything yet. We don't know what we're going to need or not need.
All right.
We're still in line to vote,
Yes, we are.
but the line's getting better. Getting better. But nobody can tell how old we are.
That's true.
You know, because we're just covered up.
Take a picture of the two of us. Just so we know.
I'm not taking a picture.
No, but I mean-
I don't have it set to take pictures.
When you finish that, let's take a picture. That's all I'm saying. Don't be so nasty.
She was in a walker and she came out and everybody said, "Do you want to get in line?" And she went, "I just voted."
I know. It was cute.
Yeah. Lovely. Lovely.
Thanks for voting. I can snack while you're waiting.
This is great. This is terrific.
Yeah.
You know, New Yorkers are the best. I was at work years ago. I worked at 54th Street between Broadway and whatever. And we had a blackout. And I was living at 145th at the time, so I had to walk from home to 145th, and everyone was handing out water. I mean, it was so New York. You know, it was just so wonderful to see it.
How far more do we have to go here?
Well, not far. We're at the school. We are at the school. It's just waiting to get to the entrance.
This almost seems to go up to the corner.
I would.
That's where we're going. The polling place. What have you got out now? You've got your card. You've got your voting card.
Here's my
You-
voting card.
Well, no,
Oh,
they
my
don't-
voting card is here.
Yeah, yeah. And she's got a voting card.
Everybody has a voting card.
I have a voting card. There's mine.
We have no idea what we need.
And here's where we vote. We've made it.
There.
We've made it. Congratulations, darling.
An event. You made
Gee.
it into an event.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is all we need.
Well, we're going inside to vote, and I can't video in there, but I'll let you know what happened.
It's just kind of like
Well,
It's
what
so-
happened?
half in, half out.
Pulled a few levers or did whatever.
And it adds up.
Happy voting day.
I feel so good that we did this. I mean, I really feel good about it.
Yeah.
We voted, we did it in person,
Yeah.
and here I am.
There we go. That's our little day of voting, and I thought I'd play that for you. It was it's great, you know. It was a great feeling. It was a great experience. Everybody was so nice, and everybody acted in such a very positive way about voting. So I say to all of you, you know, I for years, you know, I went for years not voting, especially when I was younger. I just didn't see any candidate that inspired me enough to get my ass off the couch to go out and vote. All right. And then when I came to New York, I saw no reason to vote because, it's a liberal town. They're always going to vote Democratic. I don't think there's been a year that I can remember that New York ever came out for the Republican candidate. Always been a very liberal city. And so I always felt that, well, my one vote gets like cut down and whittled down into like 78 votes or whatever the electoral count is. And so really all I'm doing is giving something for them to compress down. And so I don't feel my one vote counts. But this year, there's another reason for you to vote. Even though it just gets whittled down into a electoral college vote, your one vote does nothing more than do this to Trump. All right? Maybe two of those. You know what this is, right? This is one more than this. Okay. I think that what we want to do is that I want to hurt him. I have found him so disgusting as a president, so unrepenting in the kind of damage he has done because of his sheer laziness. He wasn't ready. He didn't really want to do the job. He just wanted the job, okay? Which is probably the same thing that's been true with his company over the years as well. And I just feel I want to send him a message that's going to be hurtful to him. And the thing that's going to be hurtful to him is a real drubbing at the voting booth. I think if this country can hand him just a absolutely terrible electoral pounding, he will be hurt by it. He will feel the sting of it. It will hit him where he lives because he hates that kind of, he's going to make excuses for why he lost. Of course, it was fixed. Because there's no way he could lose. Give me a break. So anyway, I'm saying go out and vote to give him the finger, okay? And the more of you who do it, the more of a finger he gets. And if he takes a real drubbing, which I'm hoping happens, it's going to be very, very demeaning to him. And that's going to be the way I can inflict my personal pain is by my one little vote. And that's the way you can inflict your personal pain. Now, if you happen to think Trump's great, well, I suppose then you should applaud him by giving him your vote so maybe he doesn't get a drubbing. But I don't know why after here's a question I should ask any of the Trump people. And that is, if he were applying for a job and you saw what he did in his last job, would you hire him? I mean, think of him as an employee, which he is really. He doesn't think of himself as an employee. He hates the idea of being an employee. He employs other people, and it makes their lives a living hell. But he doesn't like to think of himself that way. He likes to think of himself as the boss, right? But he is nothing more than an employee, and you are his boss. And now it's time for you to give him his report, how he did. And whether you want to have him around for another little while to work for you again. And if you feel as an employer that he wasn't quite up to the job and that he was pretty lazy in the way he acquitted himself, then I think maybe you should do what I want to do. And it's give him two of those, right? And that's what voting against him is going to do. And if you're going to vote for him, think for a second about the job that he did. And, anyway, that's my thinking on it. What do I have to say any more than that? No. All I'm saying is get out and vote. Really vote. And if they make it tough for you to vote, vote anyway. Get in there and vote. And if you got to wait in a line, I mean, we were lucky. We only had to wait in a line for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And it was, you could see how pleasurable it was. I mean, it becomes kind of a community, and so we had a pretty good time. But, if you have to wait in line for 2-3 hours, do it, okay? Do not let the bastards get away with this and suppressing the vote like they are in places like Texas and so on. In fact, let's go to the Zoom panel We are not actually, we only have one person ready to be admitted to the Zoom panel. Oh, wait a minute, another person being ready to join the Zoom panel. But let me bring that up. There's Charlie Wallace, and there's Jeff Stein starting off the whole thing. Charlie, you just wrote something here in Texas. You have to bring in your mail-in ballot to turn it in.
If you got a mail-in ballot, they won't let you vote in person unless you bring that blank ballot and turn it in so they can make sure you don't vote twice.
So they still make it rough on you, right?
Oh yeah.
See,
they don't want people voting here.
I guess they don't have computers in Texas. Is that what the problem is? Because here you go and they send you a thing that's like almost like a ticket, okay? And then when you go in, they read the barcode on it, and your name comes up and where you live and the fact that you're registered and all of that, and then they hand you your ballot. Now, once you've done that, you could mail one in. You could go in the day of the election and try to vote, but it already says you already voted, okay? So no matter what you do, whether you send in the mail-in ballot or whatever, it can't be used. So, you know.
But you have to realize that here in Texas, what they did, we were one of the first states that had the voter ID law. When they passed the voter ID law, they then shut down over half of the places where you could go get a voter ID.
That's called suppression.
Yeah.
It's suppression of the first water. That's why I'm saying to people, don't let anybody slow you down. If you got to go wait in line for 3 hours because they don't have the facilities in good enough condition that they can do it faster, still do it, okay? Don't let the bastards get away with it, What else do you have to do during the COVID thing but stand in line, you going to go to a movie? Come on. You going to hang out with friends? I doubt it, Just to get out there and vote. Look who we got here. Somebody who doesn't call that often, but when he does, we feel real good about it. It's Tom Yamaguchi.
Hi, there's Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just calling because Charlie was talking about the situation in Texas. Actually, it's that same way in California, but it sounds like what happens is they actually mail the ballot to us.
Mm-hmm.
So we would need to bring it in, otherwise there would be the chance of voting twice, which would not be. But they actually didn't send you a ballot, Alex. They just sent you a ticket with a barcode. So that could be
received 250.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Who is that? Is that
John?
That's John Larkin.
John, turn your camera to begin with so that it's not in. So you're sideways.
You're sideways.
You're sideways, John. What are you using? You're using an iPhone today. You're not using what you normally use.
Yeah. I'm using an iPhone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How's that?
Well, yeah, fine. It's just the iPhone somehow won't go into into landscape mode. That's the problem.
No, I know. I'm using Zoom, so it's just.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to Tom. So Tom.
Yeah. So New York seems to have a very interesting situation there, because they say you don't need to actually bring your ballot in, so there's no risk of you actually voting twice.
Yeah, I had a ballot. The person in front of us had a ballot. I think if you watch the video, a lot of people, whoever's got their audio up, turn it off. Would you? Okay. They all had their ballots, but a lot of people had their ballots, but I think they brought it because they thought maybe they needed it for identification or whatever. But all you needed was that thing, that ticket that we had with the barcode on it, and that made you, say you were registered. But once they swipe that barcode, if you have a mail-in ballot, it's not going to work. You can mail it in, and they'll run it through the thing and say, "Oh, he's already voted."
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, we have computers here.
Well, you guys want people to vote. Texas, they don't want people to vote.
Yeah, I mean, it worked pretty well. But I often wonder in some states how they keep people who have have a mail-in ballot from voting twice. And of course, that would be one way of doing it, that if you want to vote and you have a mail-in ballot, then you have to bring the mail-in ballot with you. And I guess once you get there, they take the mail-in ballot away from you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that you can't.
Yeah. So basically, as I've worked a number of elections as an election officer, like Kevin Stopper has down in San Benito County.
Yeah.
And so what we would do is give everyone a provisional ballot that doesn't have their vote by mail ballot to surrender at the polls.
Yeah.
So then the provisional ballot is counted if they do not receive that other ballot that was sent, in the mail.
Yeah. I was joking as we were walking in that I said, well, you can always just drop your ballot off in the front here. I said, I guess it's in the only thing that's here is a garbage can. So I guess that's where you throw it. But it's amazing because there were people, like a woman in front of us. She had a ballot. We had a ballot, and somehow she still wanted to go in and just vote traditionally. You get that thing and just fill it out, even though it was only about maybe 4 little spaces you had to fill in to finish it because there weren't many people on there. And then just, put it in the machine, have it read it, and leave. And you saw Marjorie. She said, I feel so good about this. She was so happy about doing it, I think more so than any other time in her life that she's voted. Somehow this time we really felt a sense of accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
And also because I said it, I never felt my one vote really counted, okay, especially in New York. I'd say it would count in Texas, I would count in South Carolina. In New York, it doesn't count. This is a liberal state. Somebody else is going to, it's just not going to do anything else but beat Trump in New York. But I felt, especially this time, this was my way of giving them the finger to Trump. The more he gets drubbed, the higher the vote count nationally, the more he's going to feel diminished and feel, he's such an egotist. This is how you hurt him. This is how you hurt him good. Yeah. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah. Well, in addition, there's more than the president on the ballot. There's a lot of local races and a lot of these races that, they don't, just even a few votes can make a big difference in whether somebody wins or loses, comes in third or fourth. If there's like three seats on a school board,
we didn't have anything. We didn't have anything like that. We had city bookkeeper or something. I don't know. There were just some two minor things. And one of them, there was only one guy running, so he was going to win in anyway. So
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you have any propositions on your ballot.
No, we had
a bunch.
Really?
Okay. But as I said, there's always some local race. Assembly person, your congressperson every 2 years.
I was amazed at how sparse this ballot was. I think there were only about 5 positions, including president and vice president, maybe 5 that we had to vote for, and they really weren't anything major. They weren't even. I don't think they were even city councilmen or anything like that. But you're right. In every other state, there are propositions. In a lot of states, there's senators running. Okay, that's very important. We didn't have any of that here in New York this time. I think maybe was Ocasio-Cortez running again for Congress out in
every 2 years.
Yeah, and she'll probably win that one. They like her out there, and but I mean, there were a lot of those coming up. We didn't even have a congressman come up here. So. Yeah.
Could I just add one other thing also? Especially as someone who's worked at the polls. There's actually a community building thing. There's like you feel more connected to your community when you're there, and and other people in your community are gathering there and they're doing something. That's a good positive thing too. You feel more like a sense of community.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think it was really, as I say, Marjorie had this. She was just so invigorated by what she had just done, and it was nothing more than something she's done any number of times in her life. But this time, it meant something. This is maybe the most decisive battle that I've seen for president in my lifetime. I remember some hard ones. When Reagan ran, and when the Bushes ran. No, I didn't want any of them either. But it wasn't like this one. This one was, we got to get this guy out of here because our life depends on it. And when they say vote like your life depended on it, well, it does. Your life does depend on it. Yeah. This guy's done such a bad job of handling this crisis, and that's where I find him a stupid idiot. Okay, is that he could have won this election just hands down if he just did something. It wasn't even something difficult to do. You can pass it off to somebody else who knows what they're doing, like Dr. Fauci, and say, you make the policy.
Yeah.
But he couldn't get him.
More specifically, if he had responded appropriately to the pandemic, he would have won a re-election. Everybody realized it's that.
It was, if I were a political pundit, and hi there, Tony, and I was hired to give him advice, I would say, this is your perfect opportunity. Seize it, and run with it. Do everything you can to stop this virus. And if you don't know how to do it, let other people tell you how to do it. But he can't bring himself to do that. That's not the kind of person he is. And so if he loses this election, it's no one's fault but his own. He was handed a perfect way to win the election.
But that's what Jared said the other day, right, with Woodward, saying let the governors suffer through it, let them have to deal with it, and then you come in there and save the economy. And that's what his plan was.
Yeah. And today we found that the GDP went up 33%. And so he's going around bragging about how it went up 33%. But the fact was that it only went up 33% because it went down something like 46%. Okay.
He's still not back to the job losses that we had back in March and April.
No. He says, we just added so many jobs. Well, yeah, okay, so now we only have 17 million people are out of work. There are so many ways this guy could have won this election by just the appearance of doing something. But then he says yesterday, one of my biggest accomplishments is stopping COVID.
Yeah.
What?
What a fucker.
What?
We had the second highest day on record today.
Really?
Highest day.
Yeah.
Well, you guys.
We had the
U.S. had the highest.
The highest date nationally. Yeah.
87,000 plus, still counting.
It's on the other side. It's on the other side.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that what you? Yeah. Okay. Well, from 7 o'clock yesterday to 7 o'clock today, we had 91,000.
Yeah. I just think he's the biggest moron ever. He was literally, if I were president, I would say, well, look, this is a horrible thing and we got to do something about it. But I would also say, hey, I've just been handed the way I'm going to win the next election. Mm-hmm. I'm going to comport myself very well in this situation and deal with this thing. And, but he didn't. He didn't.
And did you see the split screen today? The split screen, they had Biden talking in Florida and Trump's group, mm-hmm. Trump.
Yeah.
And they had no masks and everybody was all squeezed in. And they had Biden had all the cars there, and everybody had masks on.
They found that certain people who attended a lot of his other ones, like 7 people, wound up with COVID, but that wasn't what they found out. What they did is they matched the rise in incidences in that county against the incidences in the state, and said there was a perceptible rise of at least 25% in cases in that city, which could be directly attributed to the fact that at the same time he was holding his rally,
Yeah, they were using 4 weeks of data. So they went back 4 weeks and they were watching the cases. Mm-hmm. And then like a week or two after the Trump rally, they saw a spike.
Yeah. And a lot of that is not necessarily people who went to the rally. That's people that the other people who were at the rally infected, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, what he does is he's holding these super spreader events, and then he's turning around and he's saying, "Hey, look at Biden. He's just playing to a bunch of cars." Yeah. So I'm supposed to hate him because he's being responsible? It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And now what the Republicans are doing, I think it was what's his name over at Fox, the guy I used to be on with.
Tucker.
Tucker Carlson.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Amazing how the mind plays tricks on me, and it won't let me remember the name Tucker Carlson. He had the guy on yesterday who said he knew that Hunter Biden was doing this and that, and he referred to his father as the boss. You don't refer to him as Biden because of the blah, 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 blah. You know that guy. Well, he went on there, and then when Tucker was supposed to come forward with some proof that all of this was true, somehow the proof has disappeared.
Lost in the mail.
Am I right? What happened? You said, well, we can't find it. Mysteriously, it's disappeared. Where's the fix? Who stole it? You know, God, you know, they're trying this last minute thing and nobody's grabbing onto it. Yes, John Larkin, who tonight is named iPhone.
Yeah. I read today in the Daily Beast that UPS has said, "Hey, we found it. We've got it. We've got that in material." So I don't know if Tucker is gonna disclose it, but I mean, who ships stuff? You know, documents on UPS. Why don't you just email it? You know?
I was tuning into Fox today, and I've been tuning into Fox lately because, quite frankly, I want to get all the news that Trump's going to win. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to hear all the reasons why Trump is winning. Okay. And one of the reasons they stated that Trump, one of the things they were complaining about was this guy who was building the wall for Trump at about a foot a year, wrote some kind of tweet about how the wall's going up and how we're going to protect it from looters and rapists and whatever. And Twitter deleted his post. And he started complaining. And of course, over at Fox, they're going, how can Twitter do this? How can Twitter do this? They're censoring, blah, 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 blah. You know how Twitter can do it? They own the company. Okay? And they've decided that they have a set of rules. And if you don't abide by them, they don't, you know, and if something looks like it's fake and they, you know, they're very careful about this, they'll take it off. And do they have the right to take it off? Hey, if somebody said, I love Trump, that's all they wrote, and they wanted to take it off, it's their right to do it. Okay? And I'm saying this to Republicans because Republicans would say, yeah, they own the company. They can do whatever they want. That's what their answer would be in a lot of other occasions. So, you know. But I listen to this, and they're all moaning and groaning, and I'm going, they own these companies, you know. If they, you know, I mean, I hate Facebook. I got a thing from Facebook. What was it yesterday about something I had put up? Oh, I know. One night on the show, I ran a White House video from the Obama administration of the what's the room where they go and they do all the
Situation
room. Okay. God, my mind is just trashed the last couple of days. The Situation Room. And you may remember me playing that video because I thought it was fascinating. I thought, how many of us have ever seen the inside of the Situation Room except in, you know, Dr. Strangelove, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and so you really, I thought it was a good thing to play for you guys. Plus, it comes from the White House, so therefore, it's not exactly in public domain, but it belongs to the public, belongs to you and me. We bought and paid for that video. And they said, History, some company called History, I don't know, maybe History Channel, whatever, said it's theirs. And I figured, I'm going to write them and just say, look, it can't be theirs because it's the White House put it out. You know, I may have gotten it from maybe a feed that they had, but it's not, you know, They don't have the right to say we have copyright on this and you can't run it. And then I go to the thing and it says, okay, and why do you disagree? And I wrote down, and then they said, okay, by filing this, if it turns out to be false, we can drop you from Facebook.
Oh.
So I'm not going to take the chance, right, over a lousy little video that, quite frankly, they just said, oh, well, you just can't monetize it, And I went, fine. But I wanted to protest it because how dare they say that something is from the White House? It's listed, the White House, right up in the corner. The White House is copywritten. So, I mean, I hate Facebook, and I hate YouTube for some of the same reasons, Even though I love YouTube, I do most of my video watching now on YouTube rather than anywhere else. But nevertheless, I find them a little draconian. And who's left? Let's see here. We got Facebook. We got and then is there any other company? No, that's about it.
Twitter.
There's Twitter. And as far as Twitter is concerned, I never really use Twitter that much anyway. I just found Twitter to be, it's for morons. I mean, what? You can only write 240. You can only write 240 characters. I got more important things to say than that, And
Navy.
And then when you read somebody's tweet, it's like blah 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 hashtag, blah 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 hashtag, blah 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 hashtag. I just want it, when I write something, I just want it to be one flowing thing, not so and so hashtag, so and so hashtag. I mean, it's just ridiculous, just absurd. But yes, John, you're in the dark now. You better clap.
Yeah, but it actually looks pretty cool with the TV. I'm getting light from the TV.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, Trump's such a hypocrite. I mean, if it wasn't for Twitter, he would never fucking be anything. So what's he complaining about?
Yeah. By the way, turn your light on because even though it's nice mood lighting, we can't see your face.
Your black shirt looks like you have a floating head.
And by the way, in case anybody's watching and has the ability to do so. We need somebody on the show to call us who's working in their backyard. Okay, so I just wanted to.
I watched that.
What?
I can go in the garage, work on my
I
car.
was I was watching he got old man or something. I was watching it on my computer, grading some books, and I heard he got old man. I was watching the show live.
Yeah, he got in my face because they called him a Trumper.
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh, there's a little argument here.
Well,
I only missed 2 days, Thursday and Friday last week, and there was Phil conversation and there was the briefing.
Well, we haven't got Robert here again tonight, but Robert really just, when he wrote a thing on here, putting down everybody for, what's with all the Trump bashing, again, and he just laid into him. He just said, we're not Trump, it's not Trump bashing, it's Trump truthing. I went around the panel at that point, and I said, would anybody like to defend Trump or say something? Let's go around the panel and everybody say something nice about Trump. And there was dead silence. I mean, people didn't even want to do it as a game to play.
You know what I was going to ask, Alex? I was in the pizzeria, right? With my mask, I get my mom and me some pizza.
Yeah.
And I don't get into politics, but I'm listening to people who I kind of know not really very well. And they always be like, oh, but you misinterpreted what he said. So I didn't even want to talk because I haven't talked to these people in years. These people I went to school with. And I'm like, yeah, I got to go. My brother's waiting. I says, why do they always make up like, well, you're misinterpreting how he's saying it? It's like the guy's an asshole. You can say whatever you want.
Well, look, when you're president of the United States, and especially when you're running for office, don't say anything that you don't really mean. Okay? Don't even say anything in jest unless you know that it can't be taken wrong. So when he says something like, women, why don't you like me?
Now, what do you think?
And they say you're pleading, he goes, well, I was only joking. That's his way of getting out of it. Well, you're running for president. No time for jokes right now.
And then he said Tony Fauci's an idiot. How is this guy an idiot? He was an expert on idiots.
Yeah, but
I mean, he just talks out of his ass.
But I mean, it would be nice if you could easily say that he was joking about something. I'd like to think he was joking about everything. Uh, but unfortunately, the jokes were deadly, and that's the problem. But I mean, I just think that I was looking for something that we could say positive about him. I mean, is he? I guess the pardoning of some people was a good deal. You know,
Who, Sheriff Arpaio?
no, not Arpaio. I'm talking about
People,
actual
people,
actual people who
people
are in
convicted of
prison.
drug crimes.
Yeah,
You know,
he pardoned him,
like that.
but he didn't get him let go out of prison. Okay, so
But here's the question I posed to you, Alex, and even everybody. My brother said this to me. We were just talking. He says, "Can you imagine now, 4 years later, almost? Look at the state of the country. You have people not believing the news. You got rioting in the streets. This is all under his watch."
I'll show you what
Yep.
I'll show you what an
This is
idiot.
sad.
I'll show you what an idiot I am. I mean, the night he got elected, Marjorie woke up. I told the story and said, "So what happened?" I said, "Trump won."
I was in shock.
And she
Alex.
said, "You're kidding me." And
Yeah,
I
I
said,
was
"No,
like, I
I'm
was
not
looking at
kidding
the
you."
whole-
And she said, "Oh my God." And I said, "Well, let's just wait. I mean, how much can he fuck up in 4 years?"
That's what everybody said.
I said that.
Yeah.
Boy, was I a dummy, because I figured that this country was impervious to being destroyed by somebody like Trump, but I was wrong. You know,
Yeah.
He made this virus like a civil war against the states.
Yeah.
he made it. He took the coronavirus to begin with. Whose line was it? I think it was Trump. It was Obama's. That the problem with Trump is he hates the coronavirus because it's getting a bit more press than he is.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, but there's a lot of truth in that. I mean, when he gets up there and he goes, coronavirus, coronavirus, after the election, you're not going to hear a thing about it.
Come
Oh,
on.
really?
It's ridiculous.
Give me a break. Come on, be smart. You think this is going away by November 3rd? About
By Wednesday,
five
it's gonna be
days from now, it's just going to disappear?
Everybody stop getting sick.
Yes, Charlie.
Yeah, it's just more projection from Trump, because when he had all those the caravans coming up from
Oh, man,
you know,
that, yeah.
Mexico and whatever, that went away completely after election in 2018. You never heard another word about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's projecting what he did in 2018. He's saying, well, that's what the Democrats are doing now.
Yeah. So,
Well, you know what he's doing?
what?
I think what he's trying to do, and you're right, Alex, he's throwing the Hail Mary pass. I'm waiting this weekend for more civil disobedience. There's going to be stuff. I think he's playing that in his little, when the door closes, he's sitting down saying, "We got this."
Well, you know who I hate? I hate.
People
I
that
hate.
burn some stuff. We got this.
I hate the people who are burning and looting, and I hate them for this reason: that they just give him something to talk about and something to yell and rant about.
They
I
should
think
really
right
do.
now, if a black person gets shot and killed, yes, you should get out in the street and protest. You should state your case to the American public, but don't do it violently and don't loot. I mean, I don't know what looting has to do with civil grievances anyway.
Nothing.
You know, but you know, I mean, it's a new form of Black Friday. I don't know. You know, rush into the store, grab the stuff, and get out of there.
I want a new Nintendo. All right, let's go.
I need a new Nintendo. Yeah.
For my room, I got one on the front.
You know, I mean, I just think, I mean, you may disagree. Do you agree with me on this, Tom? That I mean, looting has no place in any of this.
No, it certainly doesn't. And I'll just say that it's an emotional response, and when people just act emotionally and not, you know, don't take into reason into consideration, that a lot of what can happen is just counterproductive.
Well,
and you say
yeah.
it feeds right into what Trump wants people to do, that he can campaign
Well,
against, with his
when-
law and order, which he stole from Richard Nixon anyway.
Yeah, well, in the old days, when they rioted and they would burn down a business, many times the business that was burnt down was a business that was hated in the community, and it was looked upon. It was a white-owned business that for years had oppressed the minorities in that neighborhood by doing things like The day the welfare checks came out, they raised the prices on food in the store, you know,
Yeah.
and things like that. And they knew that, and so they went, okay, this is our chance to get even with this son of a bitch. And so
Yeah.
that was understandable in those days. But looting right now, going into a Best Buy and looting a Best Buy, I don't know what that has to do with the fact that George Floyd got killed by a cop, murdered by a cop. It really doesn't have anything to do with it. And it only diminishes the demonstrators' cause. That's the other problem.
Right.
This Tom is the savvy, big time politics guy. Tom, do you see any chance in winning?
Of course.
You do. What
He
percentage?
could certainly win. Once again, you know, you have to take it, you know, state by state, and if he just ekes out enough votes like he did in 2016, he could lose the popular vote by millions like he did in 2016 and still win the electoral college. So that's why we got a campaign in those swing states and just everywhere. Just I actually blogged about it. I made one final blog post for my blog about the election. If you want to read it, go to tomyamaguchi.blog. And I'll just spell out why I think we really need to vote in large numbers. And
because how many votes are they going to throw out, Tom? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, here's the thing, Tom. This year, we're a little smarter than we were 4 years ago.
Hopefully.
You know, well, to begin with, Hillary was playing a lousy ground game. If she was playing a good ground game, she would have been counting electoral votes, and she wasn't. She was counting total votes. So were the pollsters as well. Now all that is out the window. Now it's all: are they going to win this state and get this many electoral votes? Or are they going to win that state?
Yeah.
And
Plus there are other factors too that was out of our control, and that was one of them was the Comey letter that came out just a week before the election, and we were reminded that 4 years ago today, the New York Times was blaring these headlines of how this is really destroying Clinton and all, and it really did suppress the vote. And I think that's the one thing that we have going this year, that the Republicans were very successful in suppressing the vote, getting people discouraged. It was a combination of the Republicans and a lot of help from the Russians.
Tom, I might disagree with you to this extent, that I think the person that lost Hillary's run for the White House was Hillary. I think it was a badly run campaign, and she was not a great candidate. Biden is showing, and believe me, when Biden got nominated, I went, well, we'll have to wait and see. I hope he can do it, Biden has run a pitch-perfect campaign. There hasn't been one single mistake, would you say?
Very minor, if anything. But yeah, you're right. And unfortunately, part of the Hillary's liability is the fact that she was a woman, and she was, this person that, people have described as polarizing. People loved her or they absolutely hated her. I mean, a lot of women. And I said, when I was doing phone calling for Hillary Clinton, it was like 80-90% in that calling room were women, and they were just fired up. They were excited about having the first woman president. But at the same time, there were a whole bunch of other people that, and a lot of this relates to misogyny. Actually, I really think that there's a lot of the baggage that was heaped on Hillary is just the fact that she is a woman.
Hillary made a good candidate. But she was qualified. She would have made a good president. Why? Because she'd done almost every job you needed to do to get ready for that job. She was more ready for it than Bill was. She was definitely more ready for it than Obama was when he took over. She was ready. The only thing was she was not a good campaigner. But she did, just remember, she won that election. Fair and square, she should have had the Electoral College, but that wasn't the ground game she was playing. And that's where she lost. She won by 3 million votes. She won the popular vote hands down, no question. The pollsters had her at 2.5 million. So
Yeah.
actually, she exceeded their expectations, and the pollsters were right. But again, like Hillary, they were not looking at electoral college. Yes, who held their hand up? Somebody had their hand up. Yeah, Brian.
When you do the calls, are you calling Democrat like voted, registered people, or how does that work?
Yeah, in this particular, in these particular call banks, we are calling Democrats.
You're just making sure that they get out and put
the idea is to make sure that they vote. Many of the people I'm calling, especially in Arizona is where I've been mostly calling. I did call people in Georgia too, but the people have already put their ballots in.
Wow.
So that's very encouraging. People have already voted. So yeah.
But it's going to be. I think that I think Biden's going to win it. I'm looking at everything and I'm seeing the writing on the wall, and quite frankly, I think that the pollsters are probably more right than wrong this time. Okay, he's ahead in Florida by 3 votes, which is within the margin of error. But Biden's ahead by 3. Well, actually 4 points.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have to win Florida. He's down there working his ass off down there, and he doesn't have to win Florida. Looks like he's going to get Wisconsin. So I mean, it looks good. All right. But we still don't know. I mean, it could surprise us, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to be, in fact, I quite frankly think it isn't a question of if Biden's going to win or not, but by how much. And I think that may wind up being the big story the next day, is how many people voted for Biden and what a drubbing Trump took.
You know what's going to be great, Alex?
What?
If it's a landslide, I'm going to stay up all night. I want to see that losing speech.
Oh, you're never going to see it. You're never going to see
He's
it.
not going to make a speech.
Yeah, he'll never he won't concede.
No, not at all. Yes, Tom, you had your hand up.
Actually, when you mentioned Wisconsin, I forgot. The big story this morning. I don't know what's happened since then, but the Republican Party in Wisconsin lost $3 million from their account because of a phishing scam.
Oh, really?
You hear that?
No.
Yeah, like somebody who was in control of the money got tricked from hackers into giving all the money away. He thought he was paying some bills, and it turned out they lost. It's like $3 million.
Was that Biden money? It was
Trump
Biden
campaign in Wisconsin.
The Trump campaign. Well, Trump can't afford it. He can't afford it.
Oh, wait a minute, he's a multi-billionaire. He
can't afford it. He really can't. They are cash poor in this campaign.
Yeah.
Where's the taxes? When are we going to see the taxes?
What taxes?
Trump's taxes. Remember?
We're going to see it when we see the health plan.
Yeah, he came.
It's going to be there. It's going to be just in one big package: health plan, tax. Yeah.
My mother wants.
Did you watch Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes?
I saw it.
With Trump. I mean, to begin with, that's the one man I don't want to ever have to interview. I mean, that's got to be totally frustrating.
Would you have cursed him out, Alex?
I saw him being interviewed by Chris Wallace, and I felt sorry for Chris Wallace, which I didn't think I was ever capable of feeling sorry for. I felt sorry for him because he was so frustrated by trying to get a straight answer out of Trump. This is why, Tom, as you know, I didn't like to interview politicians, because they never answer the question you're asking them. They always are answering a question that they want to answer. So they will take whatever question you have, twist in their first couple of words, something which just twists it towards what they want to talk about, and then they go into a diatribe about their platform and so on.
Well, I think your story about Jerry Brown, 2 separate interviews, really tells it.
Yeah. When I interviewed him when he was running for president, it was one of those kind of interviews, And then when I had him back, he came back on the show and he started doing these diatribes against the highway patrol, and he started just going after everybody and everything. And during the break, I looked at him and I said, in fact, I may have said it on the air. I said, Jerry, why weren't you like this when you were running for president? I would have voted for you in a heartbeat. And he looked at me and he said, I was running for president and I had handlers and they told me what I should say and not say.
Yeah.
Well, what does that say about running for president? But Biden has been pitch perfect, I think. You know, I can't think of a major mistake he's made. He's had a few little gaffes here and there, and they make a big deal out of them on Fox. Oh, look, he's a doddering old man because he said 2019 when it was really 2020 when that happened. Whatever. But minor stuff. But, I mean, he's really just been pitch perfect. Don't you feel, Tom? I mean, I think
he's been quite good. You know,
he's got the whole thing about looking straight at the camera and talking to the American public and leveling with you like he's talking directly to you. Good work. You know?
Yeah, and I think, and I mentioned this before. I think the fact that it was such a very crowded field, that the people really had to get better at campaigning in order to survive. And I think that's probably, if I were to say the difference between now and 2016 is, unfortunately, if Elizabeth Warren had run in 2016, even if Hillary Clinton got the nomination, I think she probably would have been a much stronger and better candidate of having that opposition. But unfortunately, you know, people like Elizabeth Warren decided, you know, well, it's her time, I'll just let her have it. And unfortunately, that was a mistake.
Well, I think that what he's done is he's played himself as the alternative to Trump. I mean, he's played himself as the reasonable, your reasonable father, you know, who's going, okay, son, you know, but let's be realistic about it. Let's be civil about it. And he's been very careful to just be Joe, you know, and look at that camera and say, you know, you're going to miss somebody at your dining room table tonight, and that's because they died of COVID, and who's responsible for that, you know? And he's done everything perfectly, and I think in that he's become Teflon to Trump, who just all he can do is the normal bashing against Biden, and everybody's tired of hearing that. And on top of that, if I went to see a comedian who I saw 4 years ago and he was doing the same act, I'd walk out. Well, what's Trump doing? He's doing the same act. He's even still going lock her up for Hillary. I mean, come on. Hillary is 4 years ago. Let Hillary go. Let Obama go. I mean,
this is the guy who's confronting Trump isn't even funny. He's not funny. At least I don't find him funny. Does anybody here find him funny?
I think at one point I found him funny because I found him ridiculous, you know. And but you know, also I think, and this is the one thing that he didn't count on, where his miscalculation caught up with him, that over the last 4 years he has worked his ass off at only one thing. He worked harder at this than any other aspect of being president, to force himself into the news cycle every single day. And now, after that going on for 4 years, we've got two things going on right now. I've got COVID fatigue, and I've got Trump fatigue. I'm tired of hearing his fucking voice. I don't want to hear it. And if nothing more, I just want a world without Donald Trump dominating the news every day. And let the president go to work and do what he's got to do and not spend all his time on the couch using his Twitter account.
He also keeps complaining everywhere he goes. He complains it's too hot. Well, I don't know why I'm out here. Because of coronavirus, I had to come out here and see you guys. You know, it's too cold.
Well, I don't know why I'm in the famous one is I don't know why I'm here in Erie, Pennsylvania. If there wasn't a coronavirus, I wouldn't be here. Exactly. Oh, well, good. Then you mean we shouldn't vote for you because you don't give a crap about us?
They clap and he hates us. He don't want to be here. What the fuck are you even doing there? They got nothing better to do. Yeah. It's almost like these people are stupid.
Well, what bothers me, I think, is making fun at people wearing masks. I found that to be in this, I mean, come on, turning masks into a political issue. I'm sorry, you know.
They're showing one of the places that had some huge hangar there. They had a line of cars out there, and they're doing all the testing. And the guy who was running that place said, "We see 80 cases a day of people with COVID, after they're tested." And they had 100 people or so many people working there. They said not one of these people have come down with COVID, and they're interacting with those people, but they had a mask and the face shield.
Yeah, yeah. It was what was it? It's just that the whole thing with just demonizing the wearing of masks. I mean, they were having a demonstration the other day where they were burning masks. Come on, at least give them to the people.
Ignorance.
Give them to the people who need them. The hospital workers. Don't waste a goddamn mask. I rewash mine.
I got one from my mother's thing. Hey, I got a rewashable toilet bowl.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. iPhone.
Did you did anybody see how he introduced Martha McSally at that rally down in Arizona?
Did you
He's like,
catch
yeah,
this?
yeah, nobody cares what you got to say.
Well, no. Did he say that? But what he said was, Martha McSally's here. Is that her
Hurry
name?
up, get up here, get up here.
Come on, get up here. Quick. Now. Quick. We don't have time. Come on, get up here quick.
And he said, nobody cares what you're going to say.
Yeah. And yet,
I would have said, fuck you.
Then a few minutes later, he introduced a male, pretty much in the same position. She's a senator, and he wasn't even as big as that. I think he was a congressman or something. And he treated him very respectfully.
Yeah.
But the woman, get up here fast. Come on, quick. Do it right now. Let's not waste time. Come on, where is she? Come on, get up here. I don't look.
Low life.
I don't look.
Horrible.
I don't understand, and I guess this is the intelligent part of me. I don't understand why anybody would vote for this guy. I mean, I can understand. I can understand you hate Biden, and nobody's telling you to vote for Biden. But how can you pull the lever, fill in the space
why?
for
You know why they vote for him?
Why?
For the lulls.
The lulls?
Yeah, that's an internet term for laughing out loud.
Oh, I see.
Because they're just fucking trolls vote for him just to fuck things up.
Jeffrey, you had your hand up.
Into something that's kind of really strange. I don't even know. I don't want to say they're all inherently racist because that would be a stupid statement. I just think you want to know why Jim Jones made them drink the Kool-Aid? Here's his people right there. They're so educated. They will do anything he says and make excuses for him.
Jeff had his hand up. Yeah. Tony, Jeff had his hand up. Yes, Jeff.
I think Trump is trying to lose at this point.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily dissuade you from feeling that way. I felt that when he was running against Hillary, that he really wanted to lose, so the next day he could start, the Trump news.
He never
network.
thought he'd win.
Yeah, and then he had plans. He had, I think what's his name was still alive. The guy who was the head of Fox and got thrown out. Roger Ailes. He had Roger Ailes ready to start the Trump News Network.
Yeah.
So he was going to do that the next day. That's what he's going to do the next day here. There will be a Trump News Network. It'll probably be OAN, and they will rebrand it. Okay, because the company already bought Trump's company already bought into OAN. So but
I don't think he wants to lose though now, because once he got the taste of the power and all the the accoutrements of being president, he doesn't want to let that go.
I think he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be out of power, and he doesn't want to lose, because the next step when he loses is a pair of handcuffs.
Yeah. For sure.
Or at the very least, a lot of legal litigation against him. Not for anything he did in office, but for
everything else.
malfeasance of running a company.
What about some guy named Boris trying to collect $400 million?
Yeah.
Boris?
Fucking,
Or Ivan.
Oh,
Ivan and Boris going to collect their $400 million.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I think that he basically feels that the presidency shielded him from a lot of probably from divorce too. It shielded him from a lot of things. I'm making a bet here that if he loses the election within 5 years, maybe 4, there will be a for sale sign on Trump Tower.
Yeah.
I think he may sell that off. I think
have to.
I think he's going to have to.
Yeah, he's going to have to.
Yeah.
All those golf courses are losing money big time. They're losing so much money. And,
I mentioned last night that when the Japanese, I think ambassador, Japanese prime minister came to the United States, he had him stay at Mar-a-Lago, and they held a dinner for him at Mar-a-Lago and everything. You, the American taxpayer, were charged a lot of money for that, for sleeping accommodations and this and that and the other thing. You know what you also got charged for? $3 for every glass of water.
Yeah.
That was on the bill.
Yeah. Trump water.
Trump water. Well, I mean, this is ridiculous, I mean, what the gall of the guy? Jeez almighty, he's looked upon the United States as his personal piggy bank.
Yep.
This is, so, I mean, we just so want him out of there, and we're hoping that it's going to be, happen real soon. You think there's a chance he could win, right, Tom?
Well, sure, of course, there's a chance he could win.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
as they said, the way the electoral college is set up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of states where it's going to be close, but if Trump just as I said, in 2016 it was a matter of 77,000 votes across 3 states. So. But I think that the answer is if you're really worried about whether Trump's going to win or not, go out and campaign, donate. You've got just 4 more days left to do it. Get involved. Get with a phone bank, a text bank, whatever.
Lacking that, the one thing you can do is vote. Okay, yeah. A lot of you people out there don't want to go to a phone bank, and you don't want to do what Tom does, or Kevin is out doing this week, which is helping run polling places and so on. That's why he's missing in action here. You really want him, but if you can't do that, you don't have to do that. Nobody says that's what you have to do. That's what the good guys like Tom do. What guys like me do is I just vote. And that's all you have to do. And in most cases, it's walking to your closest school and voting. And believe me, you wear a mask. Everybody's required to wear a mask inside. I didn't feel at any moment that I was coming into contact with germs. I wish I had videotaped inside, but I probably would have been told to stop. Because everybody was distanced away from each other. There was a plexiglass panel between me and the person who was working the polling station. I put down my little card, and the barcode was read, and then it was slipped to me in a envelope, my ballot. It was really clean, and I didn't get any feeling that I was being compromised health-wise by voting. So don't worry about that in most states. I don't know how it is in Texas. How was it?
And you can donate to somebody's campaign.
Yes.
No matter how much money you don't have, you can always have, $5, $10 to somebody's campaign could make a big difference. And there's a set of campaigns that could really use it.
Well, here's what's happened. Biden, who we didn't think was capable of it, has raised so much money. He has more money than he needs for the campaign. And so what he's done is he's turning over a lot of that leftover money to the Senate campaigns and to the congressional campaigns, and is filtering that money down into those campaigns. The National Democratic Committee doesn't need a cent right now. They're cash rich. But, you know, your local candidates, your congressional candidates and Senate candidates do need some help. They're going to get some help in the overflow money from the Democratic Party, but that isn't going to be enough. And I'm assuming, look, I'm saying that to all the Republicans out there. I mean, you know, you're not going to stop people, the Republicans, from doing the same thing, are you, Tom?
No, of course not. Everybody should participate.
You know.
Yeah,
so
everybody.
Yeah. So anyway, but I mean, let's face it, we're a group of people here all voting for the same guy, right? I assume. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And even, you know, so, and even if we had 4 more people here tonight, they'd be probably Biden people too. I mean, you know, I don't mind
Right.
if some Trump people would like to call up tomorrow night. It's your last chance. But if some Trump people would like to call up tomorrow night, I'd be more than happy to hear from you, you know? Because I don't like this being one-sided. And I don't even think Tom does either, who's really on the left. You'd like to hear a good, intelligent argument for Trump, wouldn't you?
No such.
That would be
animal.
nice.
Intelligent Trump
That would-
argument.
you know,
There
I
are 3 words that are an oxymoron.
So far, the only thing I hear are these, you know, people who are just sort of like in a cult. You know, it's unfortunately that's the truth. I mean, there's nothing rational or logical in their support. It's just like it's this idolatry. This you know.
Well,
cult
let me
worship.
put it this way. You know, I mean, we like to think that America was an intelligent country. Overall, it's really not. You know.
Actually, intelligent people get caught up in cults too.
Yeah.
I had a friend
Yeah.
who was in Jonestown.
Wow.
And wrote her
Yeah.
story about it. She's really very interesting. She's unfortunately dead. She died about a year ago. But you know, just the way, you know, just from her reading her book, I realized.
Well, who was that?
how
Who was
it is
that?
possible to get
Wait a
caught
minute.
up in
Wait a
a
minute.
cult.
Who was that? The woman.
Well, her name was Cole.
Oh,
She
okay.
was
Because
in
I
St.
knew a woman that was Jim Jones's girlfriend, who I had on the show. I can't remember her name now. But she left Jonestown to go into town when all this thing went down. Okay.
As
so
a matter of fact, that's what happened to this woman.
Yeah.
They had an office in the city.
Right.
Outside of town, and so she was there when so that's how she.
Do you remember her
survived.
first name? It might be the same woman I'm
I read
thinking
her
of.
book.
Because I know that the woman that I'm talking about wrote a book.
Her last name was Cole, Kohl, Kohl, yeah.
Yeah. But
Probably the same person.
it might be.
Wow, that's interesting. Let me see. Well,
What-
talk amongst yourself. I'm gonna look for a book.
Okay, I'm just thinking if she was fairly young at the time. Well, you know.
But my mom passed away when I was 13, and she saved a lot of stuff. She had a stack of newspapers of Jonestown, and my dad said, yeah, we knew some people, though I guess that she knew one of her friends that was in Jonestown.
Yeah, well, yeah. But
I got recruited when I was in high school. I used to go to concerts at Winterland, which was just right around the corner.
From the People's
And I remember
Temple,
them
yeah.
passing out flyers and stuff to go to the church.
How many years
And,
ago? How many years ago was Jonestown now?
78.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was in 78.
Same time Harvey Milk was shot because of the same.
Yeah, the same month. Yeah.
Yeah. So at first I thought it was something about Harvey Milk, why she saved him, and then my stepfather said no, it's actually she had a friend that was in Jonestown. So.
Yeah. The name Cole doesn't ring a bell for me. That's the only reason I don't think it's the same woman that I knew.
Hey, Charlie's wearing the Coca-Cola shirt. You know the San Francisco sign, Alex.
Yeah.
Remember the Coca-Cola sign that lights up all the time?
Yeah.
82 years. They're going to take it down this week.
Why?
I don't know. That's they're posting. They're going to be taking that down.
Wow, that's
Woo.
not right. If it's that old, they should preserve it. Okay, well, here's the book. What's it called?
Called Jonestown Survivor. Her name was Laura Johnston Cole. And actually, I got to know her through the Quakers.
No, that's not the. That's not
but
the. That's
she was
not
from San Diego. She just died last year.
Okay, this is not the woman I knew. I knew a woman from San Francisco, and she was, to begin with, she was gorgeous, I might add. I was hot for her, but she wrote a book
But
too.
it's a good book. It,
Yeah.
it really is. And as I said, to dismiss somebody as, as just being stupid or gullible or whatever, it's anybody's success.
Well, I'll tell you, Trump isn't exactly a cult leader. He doesn't have the chops to be a cult leader. But people can be seduced into a cult. There's no question about that, and they can be intelligent and be seduced into it. But I just think that what we've got here is we do have a bunch of people who really, I don't know. It's those militia people, for instance. That's a good example. They're not exactly bright, okay? I really shouldn't say that. Do they have my address?
Yeah.
They're not really that bright, And secondly, they go, well, we're here to protect the president. There's the reason we're here with our guns and everything. And I'm going, you're not the cops. You don't have the right to do that. When we ask for your help, then come. Otherwise, stand down. Stay back.
It's
Whatever.
not your job.
Yeah, it's not your job, man. Not your job. Well, we got another. I'll just be glad when this whole thing is over. Well, I'll be glad if Biden wins. I won't be so glad if Trump wins. I will not be. It will not be. I will not be festive on Wednesday if that's the case. Yes, John.
It would be if we get the Senate and we will keep the House and Trump wins president, I think for sure he'll get impeached.
Well,
but then I take that back because it takes 2/3 of the Senate.
Yeah.
But
still, if
we
get the presidency, we get the Senate, and we get the Congress, anything's possible, including a really good health care and a couple more people on the Supreme Court to even the whole thing out. Anything's possible once you got the Senate at this point.
Yeah.
So that's it. Anyway, I'm going to just play the theme. It's been what a nice bunch of people. I really like you guys. I always say I don't have any friends, and then I suddenly realize every night I come here and I see Brian and I see Tom and I see John and I see Tony, I see Charlie, I see Jeff, and I see friends. I see people who maybe I'm not in the same room with them, but then again, during COVID, I'd be doing this anyway with them. So, what the hell. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tom. Please, Tom, call more often. The coast is clear these days. Thank you very much, John Larkin. Thank you very much, Kevin. And thanks to Tony as well. What I'd like you all to do is to give a big wave goodbye, and I will give a big wave goodbye back at you, okay? There we go. There they go. That's our citizen panel for tonight. By the way, the next program is Jack Bishop, and he's going to be having a citizen panel as well. This time, though, he'll be using Skype. He won't be using Zoom, okay? He'll be using Skype, and the number for that is Gabnet Live. You just type that in to Skype and say, I want to call Gabnet Live. Meanwhile, I'll be back again tomorrow night, the last show before election night. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, be safe out there, and whatever you do, please, please wear a mask, okay? Good night, everybody.